Flying cars. In the small town of Midway, everyone was always talking about the future. The most exciting topic was flying cars. They were not real yet, but everyone believed they would be, soon. One day, a big announcement came on the town's TV channel: "The future is here. Come to the town square tomorrow to see the first real flying car." Everyone in Midway was buzzing with excitement. Lucas, a 12-year-old boy with a passion for machines, was the most excited of all. He couldn't sleep that night, imagining soaring through the sky. The next day, the town square was packed. People of all ages came to witness history. There, on a big stage, covered with a cloth, was the flying car. When the cloth was pulled away, gasps filled the air. The car was sleek and shiny. It looked just like a regular car, but with big wings. A man in a white coat climbed onto the stage. "I am Dr. Jensen, and I present to you the future." He climbed into the car, started it, and to everyone's amazement, it slowly lifted off the ground. It hovered for a moment and then flew around the square. Lucas's eyes were wide with wonder. After the demonstration, Dr. Jensen allowed the townspeople to come closer and ask questions. Lucas raised his hand. "How does it work?" Dr. Jensen smiled. "It uses a mix of special fuel and advanced technology to make it light and powerful enough to fly. But, remember, it's still in the testing phase." Months passed, and flying cars became more common. People in Midway got used to seeing them in the sky. Lucas, inspired by Dr. Jensen, started studying more about machines and technology. He wanted to be a part of the flying car revolution. One day, while in his garage, Lucas had an idea. He began building something. Weeks turned into months, and after a lot of hard work, Lucas unveiled his creation to his friends: a flying bicycle. His friends were amazed. It was not as fast or high-flying as the cars, but it was Lucas's own invention. He became the talk of the town. Years later, when flying cars were normal and every town had them, people still remembered the boy from Midway who thought outside the box and made a flying bicycle. Remember me. In the old part of the city, there stood a small antique shop called Timeless Treasures. It was full of old clocks, dusty books, and forgotten memories. Mia, a young girl with bright blue eyes, often visited the shop after school. She loved listening to the stories behind every item. One day, while exploring a new corner of the shop, Mia found a locket. It was silver with an intricate pattern and seemed quite old. Curiously, Mia opened it. Inside, there was a black and white picture of a young woman who looked eerily like Mia. Intrigued, she approached the shop owner, Mr. Sullivan. "Who is this?" Mia asked, holding up the locket. Mr. Sullivan took a deep breath. "Ah, that's a story not told for a long time. That young woman was my sister, Lillian. Many say she looks a lot like you." Mia's eyes widened. "What happened to her?" "She disappeared many years ago, and no one knows where she went. I kept that locket in the hope that she would return one day." Mia felt a strange connection to the locket and decided to buy it. Every day, she wore it, feeling closer to the mysterious Lillian. One evening, Mia had a dream. In it, she was in the same old part of the city, but it looked different, older. She saw the young woman from the locket. Lillian was writing something on a paper and placed it inside the locket. She looked sad. The next morning, Mia remembered the dream and felt an urge to examine the locket again. Carefully, she opened it and, to her surprise, found a tiny folded paper behind the picture. It read, "To whoever finds this, remember me. Remember my story. And know that love lasts forever. Lillian." Mia was stunned. She decided to learn more about Lillian. With Mr. Sullivan's help, they discovered that Lillian had a lover who went to war and never returned. She waited for him and wrote letters, hoping he'd come back. Feeling the weight of Lillian's sorrow, MIA and Mr. Sullivan decided to create a small memorial in the shop for Lillian. They displayed the locket and shared her story with everyone who visited. Years later, Timeless Treasures became not just an antique shop but a place of memories and stories, with Lillian's tale being the most unforgettable. The short story of Jack. Jack lived in a small village named Willow Creek. The village was surrounded by mountains and had a beautiful river flowing through it. Jack was not like other boys. He loved reading, while most kids his age were out playing football or climbing trees. Every Saturday, Jack visited the village library. It was a small, cozy place with wooden shelves full of books. Miss Clara, the librarian, knew Jack by name. She often kept aside new books she thought Jack would like. One sunny day, as Jack was reading a book about adventures and hidden treasures, he stumbled upon a story that mentioned Willow Creek. The book claimed there was a hidden treasure buried somewhere in the village many years ago. Excitedly, Jack decided to find this treasure. He started his search by asking the oldest person in Willow Creek, Old Man Jenkins. Jenkins laughed, "Oh, that old tale." Many searched, but no one ever found anything. But Jack was not discouraged. He spent days looking at maps, reading more about the treasure, and even searching near the river and under old bridges. One evening, as he was searching near an ancient oak tree, he found an old rusty box. His heart raced as he opened it, hoping to find gold or jewels. Inside, he found a letter. The letter was written by a young boy, around Jack's age, from many years ago. The boy spoke of his life in Willow Creek, his friends, his dreams, and his wish to leave something memorable behind. He considered the box and his letter as his treasure. Jack was initially disappointed. But as he read the letter again and again, he realized that the true treasure was not in gold or jewels but in memories and stories we leave behind. Jack decided to add his own letter to the box, speaking of his adventure. He reburied the box, hoping someone in the future would find it and continue the story. Back at the library, Jack shared his discovery with Miss Clara. She smiled, "You've found a different kind of gold, Jack. The kind that enriches the soul." And so, in a small village named Willow Creek, Jack learned that treasures are not always what they seem, and the best stories often come from the most unexpected places. Time travel. It was a normal afternoon when Alex stumbled upon the old clock in his grandmother's attic. The clock was big, with strange symbols and numbers on its face. Beside the clock, there was a note. The note read, "To time travel, set the hour and minute to the year you wish to visit." Alex laughed. Time travel was just in stories and movies. But being curious, he decided to set the clock to 1990, the year his mother was a teenager. He thought it would be funny to see what she looked like at his age. As soon as he set the clock, the room started spinning. When everything stopped, Alex found himself outside a small house. There were kids playing with toys he had only seen in old photos. The cars on the road looked different too. Alex realized he was really in 1990. Excitedly, he walked around and soon reached a park where teenagers were hanging out. Among them, he spotted a girl who looked just like the photos of his young mom. He approached her and said, "Hello. I'm Alex." The young girl, surprised, replied, "Do I know you?" Alex quickly realized he couldn't tell her the truth. "I'm new here," he replied, "I just wanted to make friends." They talked for a while, and Alex learned a lot about his mom's teenage life. He also found out about the dreams and hopes she had. It was fun to see the world from a different time. But as the sun started to set, Alex began to worry. How would he return to his time? He remembered the clock and ran back to where he had arrived. He set the clock to his current year, hoping it would work. Suddenly, the spinning sensation came back, and in the blink of an eye, Alex was back in his grandmother's attic. The old clock was right beside him, just as it had been. Alex felt grateful for the adventure and the unique chance to meet his young mom. But he also decided that he wouldn't play with the clock again. Some things, he thought, are best left in stories. However, every now and then, he would tell the tale of his time travel, leaving listeners wondering if it was a true story or just Alex's vivid imagination.